Welcome back to Algebra 1 Honors. Today we're going to look at Lesson 8-8, Linear and Quadratic Functions. Linear functions we've already covered pretty well, so we're going to focus today on quadratic functions. And another name for what we're going to be looking at is drawing parabolas. A parabola is an upward curve. When you throw a softball or a football, it arcs up to a highest point, and then it arcs down in the same path on the other side. Okay? So that's what a parabola looks like. Here's an equation, and you can tell you've got a parabola if you have a y term that is linear, has a 1 for an exponent, and an x squared term. Okay, so one term is squared, one's linear. Now, the first thing we want to find is our axis of symmetry. We do that by making sure we have our equation in this form: 1y equals something in front of x squared plus or minus something in front of x plus or minus a constant. Okay? And then our axis of symmetry we find is going to be a vertical line, and we're going to find where it is over here by taking the opposite of b. So the opposite of -6, the opposite of -6, all right, let's fill that in here. The opposite of -6, because b is -6, that's the opposite, over 2 times a, 2, and a is 1. So our calculated value there is going to be the opposite of -6 is +6, over 2 is going to reduce to 3. So our axis of symmetry, we come over here and draw it, is a vertical line going through the x value of 3. And the equation of this line is x equals 3. Right? Because it doesn't matter what y is anywhere along here, x is equal to 3. That's our axis of symmetry. That means that our parabola, if we folded it right on that axis, the two halves would lay on top of each other. That's our axis of symmetry. Now, we look back over here, and we look at the number, the coefficient in front of the x squared term. And if that's positive, then it means that our parabola opens upward towards heaven, right? So it'll look like this. It'll look like a U. If that's a negative number, if this were -4, let's say, that means our parabola opens downward towards that other place. And it looks kind of like an umbrella, okay, an open umbrella. Now, what we have to do next is figure out, since we know this one opens upward, we have to figure out where is it on this axis of symmetry. Where does it sit? And where it sits, its bottom point, is called its vertex, okay, or its minimum point. And its vertex we find by taking the 3 that we calculated here, okay, the axis of symmetry, and plugging it in down here for our x value, and calculating what we get. Well, 3 squared is 9, so we have 9 minus 3 times 6 is 18, plus 8. So 9 minus 18 is -9. -9 plus 8 is -1. Okay, so this equals, when we plug it in, gives us a -1. So our vertex is at 3, -1. You take the value you got for the vertex, plug it in for x, and calculate your value for y. That's your vertex. So our vertex is going to be on this line at 3, -1. That's right here. Okay, that's 3, -1. And let's fill it in over here. 3, -1. Now, we need then to get some more points. We know that our parabola is going to open like this, up this way, but we need some more points to be able to draw it a little more accurately. So, we're going to make a little table like this, and we're going to put the vertex in the middle here. Because then we're going to go one value over this way, one this way, and then one more and one more. We're going to find 4 more points. So from 3 we're going to go to 2 and up to 4, okay, and then 1 and 5. So start in the middle, go up 2 values, and go down 2 values. Now then we have to take these numbers and plug them into our equation and figure out what the y value is. So we take 1, we put 1 over here for x. That's going to give us 1 squared is 1, 1 minus 6. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 8, negative 5 plus 8 is going to be positive 3. Okay? And then we take 2 and we plug 2 in. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 12 plus 8. 4 minus 12 is negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Okay, now then let's plug in 4. 4 squared is 16 minus 24 plus 8. 16 minus 24 is negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Can you guess what 5 is going to give us? Plug in 5. 25 is 5 squared minus 30 plus 8. 25 minus 30 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 8 is 3. You notice how the table also is a mirror of values? Right? Like so. So let's now plot our 4 additional points. 1, 3 is over 1 and up 3. Okay, and 2, 0 is over 2 and up none. 4, 0 is over 4 and up none. And our other point needs to be right here. It needs to be the mirror. And let's see, 5 and up 3. Okay, now we've got enough points to draw our parabola. Okay, and hopefully you draw a little better than I do. Okay? But those are the steps that you go through in drawing a parabola. Now I want to show you one additional thing for those of you who are a little bit ahead of the game. If you look just at that equation right there, let me get rid of all the extra things that are here. If we put a 0 in for y over here, you've learned how to solve those kind of equations by factoring this side. X squared minus 6x plus 8 factors into x minus 2 times x minus 4. And so when x is 2 and y is 0, right here, that equation is true. And when x is 4 and y is 0, that equation is true right here. So if you plug in a 0 for your y and then factor it, your solutions that you get here, the numbers that you get here, are going to be where the parabola cuts across the x-axis. Okay, just a little additional piece of information. But that's what there is to parabolas. It's a lot of work, but it's not terribly complicated. This is really the only equation that you need to remember. That the axis of symmetry is the opposite of b over 2a. Once you got that, take that value, plug it in for x. You got your vertex. Put your vertex in your table. Go down 2, go up 2, and then calculate your y values. And then you can draw it. Okay? That's all there is to parabolas.